Verse 21. Is the law therefore contrary to Yahweh's promises? Now a lot of Christians at this point would answer, well, yes, it's contrary to Yahweh's promises. We're not under the law. But that's not what Paul says. Paul says, absolutely not. Right. God forbid. Certainly not. The law is not contrary to Yahweh's promises. No. That's a big difference in answers. Paul wants the Galatians and the Judaizers to see that the law has its purpose. It was not contradicting towards Yahweh's promises. It had its reasons. And we've been over them in the last couple of messages. But the law was not given to annul or to cancel the promises Yahweh made to Abraham and to his seed. Amen. That wasn't the reason that it was given. And the law wasn't given as a giver of life. That's right. The rest of verse 21 says this. Look at it. For if a law had been given that was able to give life, then righteousness would certainly be by the law. That's right. The law is not a life giver. That's right. Now one might object, but Yahweh says in Deuteronomy when He lays out His law, choose life. So the law is life, Brother Matthew. My response to that is that the law is a way of life. It's the only way of life, and that's what Yahweh's talking about in Deuteronomy. Anytime we go against the moral law in the way that we live, it brings some kind of death to our life. So the law is the way of life. But Yahweh is not saying in Deuteronomy that the law is the giver of life or that the law imparts life to you. Remember, always read things in their context. Choosing the best way to live is not the same as being gifted with spiritual awakening or spiritual life. As a matter of fact, you can't even choose the way of the law of Yahweh without first being imparted life by the giver of life. That's right. That's right. Yahweh says, I will circumcise your hearts. I will put my law within you, and you will obey. Amen. But the obedience only comes after the life has been given. The law is not a giver of life. Yahweh is the giver of life by His grace. That's what Paul's talking about in Galatians 3:21. If a law had been given that was able to give life, to impart life, then righteousness, that's absolute righteousness, perfection, holiness, innocence, declaration of innocence, justification, would be by the law. But that's not the purpose of the law. The law cannot do that for you. The law cannot give you life. The hammer is not needed to change the light bulb. The law is not designed to give you life. Do you know how you're gifted life? Grace. Grace. Grace, grace, Yah's grace. Amen. Grace that will pardon and cleanse within. Amen. Grace, grace, Yah's grace, grace that is greater than all our sin. That's how you're given life, is by grace, not by the law. Your spiritual life comes as a result of grace, not law. And just as I never want my children to forget the importance of the law, I equally never want my children to forget the importance of grace. Amen. Grace is why I am alive today. Grace is why I have a desire to please Yahweh today. Grace is why I can sing for joy. Grace is why Yahweh has not killed me a long time ago. And everyone in here needs grace to save them. The law will never justify you or save you. The law will never give you life. Only grace can do that. Amen. Only grace. All right. In order for you to even be obedient to the law, amen, you have to be given spiritual life first. Right. In order for you to love Yahweh, Yahweh has to love you first. I tell people it's not so much what are you going to do with Yahweh, but it's what is Yahweh going to do with you. You say, Brother Matthew, don't you believe in free will? Yes, I believe in free will. I believe Yahweh has the free will to do anything that He wants to do. Everybody wants to argue about free will, and everybody forgets that Yahweh has the most freest will of all. You are who you are by the grace of Yahweh. You've heard of that saying, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Well, this is which came first, grace or works? And the answer is grace. That's the answer. Brothers and sisters, grace came first. You love because He loved first. I am what I am by the grace of Yahweh. And you are what you are by the grace of Yahweh.